And we're live. Got the thumbs up from Logan. Welcome, everybody, to Shattered Forge, the World Anvil sponsored stream that I DM here on the Nerdsmith channel. It is the premiere for today, and we are so happy to have everybody here. It's such a marvelous time that we're going to be having for about the next couple hours. As always, at the top, I should allow ourselves to introduce ourselves. My name is Jason Catrone. I'm DM extraordinaire and a creator on the Nerdsmith Network. So happy to be here and happy to be representing World Anvil through this medium that we've been scheming up for quite a while now, for about a couple of months, with this cast of characters. You can find me at JustJasonPlease on Twitter with a pinned tweet that will tell you everything about everywhere that I will be across the internet universe. Outside of that, as I believe, yes, I am in the middle, we should probably introduce our lovely cast, beginning with the ever wonderful, and yet perhaps unfamiliar to some, Eric. Eric, it's so good to see you. Who are you? Where can we find you? And most importantly, who will you be playing?
Well, my name is Eric Peterson. I'm a Florida-based screen and voice actor. You can find me at Eric Peterson VO on Twitter. I've done some work with Nerdsmith and some related projects like the Hamilton crossover album with Cantata Pansophically. You can find me as Gilmore. I'm going to be in a future project called Pactless Patrons, which you can also find on Twitter. That one's going to be very exciting. A bunch of Warlock patrons who don't have any friends all getting together to talk about their feelings, and I'm very happy to be here. I will be playing the Dark Elf Cleric, Verinar.
Interesting. You shall certainly see more of Verinar as we get into the session, but I suppose we should give voice to the one that is opposite you on the screen. Lynn! It is so wonderful to have you aboard the Nerdsmith Network, and I am just wondering, just out of curiosity, who you are, what you do, and how your day's been, and where we can find you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Hi, everybody. My name is Lynn Meyer, and I am a writer and a streamer and a doer of stuff based in Chicago. You probably know me best from the Uncaged anthology, for which I am a writer and an editor. I'm also showing up on Twitch, not only here, but also on Tuesdays for Paws and Claws, where I'm a very good dog, playing basically a cleric. And on Sundays, where I'm in Princesses Save Dragons, which is a totally non-official Disney Princesses twist on D&D. So I'm a gunslinging version of Princess Leia. If you want to come and check that out, it's a lot of fun. We just had a showdown with Peter Pan, and it was really strange. And I have all kinds of stuff showing up on DM's Guild, including a new thing which is releasing tonight called Beyond the Basics. So come and find me on Twitter and elsewhere and geek out with me.
All right.
And my day's okay.
Oh, good. All righty. Well, Lynn, it's so wonderful to have you aboard this new campaign. We'll get into the conceit of it after introductions and sponsorships and all that good stuff. Don't worry, audience. You're in for a hell of a time. As we ping-pong over to Autumn, a familiar face on the Nerdsmith Network, but one that we love seeing nonetheless. How you doing? Who are you? Oh, and I almost forgot to ask, who are you going to be playing tonight? Lynn, just real quick, who exactly are you going to be playing? Oh, push to talk.
That's my bad. I have to put a quarter in a jar. Forgot to push to talk. Speaking of rogue type things, I'm going to be playing Leora, who is a rogue, specifically with a smuggler background. She is an inquisitive.
Interesting. Now, Autumn, As that bit of business has gone through, who are you? Where can we find you? What you doing? And yeah, who you playing?
Hi, my name is Autumn Blaze, also found on the interwebs as Lasalanta Nariel, which is my name in Elvish. And you can find me on Twitter as Lasalanta Blaze, where you can find my art and my writing and all of the other cool RPGs I'm starting to be in now, because I have one later tonight, and this one, and hopefully some more to come in the future. And I'll be playing Amaris Ebenwood, a halfling ranger, ghostwise halfling ranger.
A ghostwise halfling ranger. Ooh, very fancy, very wonderful, and very good to have you here. As we go from Autumn to the second to last, but certainly not least, Michael. How you
G'day,
doing?
guys. Hey, I'm doing
Yeah.
fantastic. So my name is Michael. I also go by the Dead Aussie Gamer. I'm a professional game master and role player from Australia, which means it's an ungodly hour right now, but I'm so keen for today. You can find me pretty much YouTube, Twitch, and a whole bunch of other places. And currently, I am featuring on the Dungeons and Dragons Twitch channel, along with someone else, for Descent into Avernus, which I think kicks off tomorrow-ish around the same time, to be honest. So there you go.
Yeah.
I will be playing Calder, a kind of like a wizard gunslinger, I suppose. Specializes in rune magic and rune crafting, and is very, very proud of his wizardy ways. I cannot wait to introduce him to you guys, and of course to all the players, and have an awesome time in this awesome adventure that Jason has made for us.
A very, very veritable pleasure to have you here, along with, of course, our final guest and final player for this lovely, lovely game. The spark of inspiration that really just set this whole thing off, Janet from World Anvil. It is a pleasure to have you here. Who are you? Where can we find you? What you doing? And who will you be playing? Most importantly.
Most importantly, I am Janet from World Anvil. Before World Anvil was a tiny spark in our little shared eye, me and my husband. I was an opera singer, which I still do sometimes, and I'm also a writer. I also give world building advice and writing advice on the YouTube channel for World Anvil, which is youtube.com/World Anvil, and you can also find me on Twitter, sometimes at World Anvil, and sometimes JD_Blythe, which is my authorial nom de guerre. And today I am playing Winry Anne, who is a cleric of the Forge, and I'm so excited. I don't know how much I'm going to be allowed to crack out my "of the Forge" voice, but I really I'll try
Do
not
it
to
one
kill
more
you all.
time.
Of the Forge. Yeah.
Love it.
All right. Apologies to headphone users everywhere. Should have given a little bit of warning, but
I'm an opera singer. I'm loud. I'm sorry.
it's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. And
This will
perfectly
be a
wonderful.
theme, but I will try and control myself. Yeah. I might have to put pennies in jars for that as well. Every time I blow your ears off. Yeah, so
Yes.
I'm super excited playing Human Cleric. Winry Anne is actually, it's a little bit of an in-joke for World Anvil. So that is Wanvil-chan, which is the kind of mascot of World Anvil. So that was the inspiration for my character, and I'm really looking forward to heating some things up.
Sounds like a pretty good idea. A wonderful, wonderful time. Alrighty. Well, as probably evident by the lovely, lovely layout, this stream is actually sponsored completely by worldanvil.com, which I'm pretty sure somebody here would be able to tell us all about. I'm not sure who'd want to volunteer any information about this very good, any award-winning service. Janet, just to pick a name out of a hat, like, we got like a good 5 minutes to spare about maybe the wonders of this world building engine and tool that you
I've
may have
totally
created.
heard of it, I think.
Oh, really? Really? Very
Yeah, I
interesting.
think so.
Okay. Well,
So, just since I'm here, I can tell you, World Anvil is the most elaborate gift I was ever given. It was originally created to help me write my novels, my epic fantasy novels, and it worked because I actually managed to finish them. So at its heart, it is a world Bible. It helps you make a wikia, a wiki-like thing, I should say, because it's not technically a wiki, which allows you to track all of your world building. If you're home brewing your own monsters or your own spells, it allows you to create stat blocks for those. It also has a campaign manager, and we will be using the player character manager from that to showcase our own characters. I have it open right now on my iPad next to me, and I will be updating my own character, Winry Ann, throughout the session. So hopefully, if you're following that URL, you will see my character in character, posting updates, quotes, that kind of thing. So essentially, if you are a writer, if you are a game developer, if you are a TTRPG player or a game master, it helps you create your world, run your world, track your IP, showcase what you want, hide what you want, and everything in between. That's what it does.
and it, having used a little bit of it myself, really, it is unparalleled in terms of quality, in terms of Demetrius's and your devotion to its maintenance and the implementation of feature after feature after feature. It really is one of, if not the best, world building tools that you can get a hold of. It is free to try, but you're going to want to give it money, and for about the cost of like one of those,
coffee a week.
Yeah, about a coffee.
A
Yeah.
month, sorry.
Oh, a coffee a month, or about like a pretty decent sized screwdriver from Home Depot. You can actually support their development actively, get access to a lot of lovely little features that that are constantly being improved upon and constantly being.
For one screwdriver, or 2.3 cabbages, or 1/64th of a relatively cheap table.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love your valuation.
Yeah, it's you have to give people something that they can relate to, and really get a good handle on.
1/16th of a crate of bananas.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, you can support World Anvil's continuing development and continuing meteoric rise into just this service that I think every creative mind will have or want to have in their back pocket. Free to try, but for less than a coffee a month, you can actively support and get so many grand features. Aside from World Anvil, we are also Nerdsmith, sponsored by the fine purveyor of polyhedrals, Die Hard Dice. Yes, dieharddice.com is where you can go to get yourself all those lovely little math rocks that are as shiny and pretty as can be, in designs that are just simply amazing. And for the premiere of Shattered Forge, Nerdsmith has a little bit of a, shall we say, a gift to bestow upon those who are currently watching. Yes, because you've got your eyes glued to the screen, you can actually put, and Logan may correct me here, you can actually put hashtag Tyros, which will be the first world that we visit. Don't worry, we'll get to it in a minute. For this campaign, and be entered into a giveaway for a $50 gift card to that particular purveyor. So if you want to have $50 worth of beautiful plastic polyhedrals in your possession, then you can type in hashtag Tyros. That is TAIROS, all one word, all lowercase, and be entered in for that giveaway, which we will close at the end of stream. So earlier you get in, the better you can feel about yourself, knowing that you yourself, yes, might be in possession of $50 worth of some of the greatest dice available. Again, if you would like to look for yourself, that is dieharddice.com. And if you would like to take a gander over at World Anvil, you can actually go to worldanvil.com and see for yourself just how wonderful these things really are. If, as a final sort of plug, you like the sort of dynamics that we've got going on here, you can actually go to nerdsmith.org/support to directly contribute to the development of this network and its content. It's a marvelous little palette of shows that we've got here, be it Final Rights, Plot Hunters, Monster Crush, programming of all shapes, forms, and sizes, shenanigans as well, just a plethora of small creators banding together to really put out content that is not only diverse, but wonderful and engaging as can be. So, again, going to nerdsmith.org/support, you can find out all the veritable ways in which your contributions can further our endeavors as we seek to include everybody at the table and really, really have a blast with this very strange medium of tabletop role-playing games and just fantasy in general. It's just a weird time everywhere. But to make it a little weirder, I suppose we should get into it. I would like very much to welcome you all to Shattered Forge, a D&D 5e multiplanar extravaganza that I will be DMing for the foreseeable future. I've got a bit of an opening spiel, so everybody bear with me. A palette of golden clouds bears a city of marvelous grandeur into view. Far beneath the moonlit streets of this paradise, waves of brilliant emerald and sapphire swirl and twirl against themselves. A pleasant breeze carries with it the aromas of the night. A haze clings to the serene scenery as dull, runic street lamps illuminate the pristine yet ancient houses of Hestevar. For a land of three gods, the mundanity of this place really astounds. Then again, Pelor was never one for glistening, gleaming towers of gold, nor was Ioun partial to form without function. Arathis did include the occasional architectural flourish here and there, but on the whole, this triumvirate of deities kept this shining plain rather plain. A stillness pervades in the wake of the wind. It will do so for approximately 15 more minutes. Before calamity strikes, however, especial attention must be paid to some of the Anvil Guard's finest. Amaris. A knock at your door rings throughout your small apartment. It seems to grow smaller and smaller every day. You can't help but feel a tad stuck here, given that your mandatory retirement from fieldwork is still ongoing. Why is the most pertinent question to your mind, but there's another that must be addressed beforehand. Who do we see in this glum place? And how is she looking at the present moment?
You see a rather short, 3'9" 3/4" to be exact, tan-skinned young woman, young for a halfling. And she has her short black hair, styled but a little bit messy as she keeps running her hands through it in her aggravated boredom as she sits here, trying to deal with being stuck in office work, as that's not something she enjoys at all. And she has tidied the room about her over and over again to a point where she's just moving the same things at this point in aggravated boredom.
I imagine there's probably like a little calendar on the wall that is marked with red X's almost stabbed into the paper that has been shifted. Yeah. Has been shifted up and down every so often just to keep from the monotony. Another knock raps at your door. I'd like you to make a perception check. First roll of the game, no pressure.
That's a 14.
The timid yet rapid nature of the knock suggests it to be one of Pelor's Fleetfoots, the messengers of Hestevar, and its very important persons, of which you could have considered yourself once upon a time, perhaps. Had certain events gone differently. Never mind. The knocking continues.
She'll go towards the door like, I'm coming. Fine. What is it?
I need you to roll a wisdom check.
That's not great. That's a 4.
It is clear as day. Even though moonlight settles upon this entire space, you hear a familiar voice call out from behind you, softly and reassuringly. Oh, no. I'll get it. Involuntarily, your throat seizes. You stop for a moment and turn. Yet when you turn, no one is there. The Fleetfoot notes this sort of change in demeanor and sort of clutching at the hem of their robes, blinks a few times. The homespun kind of aesthetic of Pelor's Faithful is on full display here as this very nervous, visibly nervous kind of teenaged, halfling, actually a bit younger than you, stands clutching a missive within his hand.
Great. Hello then. What's that?
Message from your he stills himself, takes a deep breath. Message from your commander, actually. Some sort of evaluation that you underwent. Conclusions from that. I'm sorry. Did I come at a bad time?
No, it's fine. Thank you. Just fine. I'll take that.
Looking at the message itself as it's clutched from the somewhat shaking hand of this very nervous Fleetfoot, you note the actual seal of the Anvil Guard, the impression upon golden wax, the facsimile of the World Anvil. Of course, the World Anvil being the symbol of Arathis, especially as of late, and the Anvil Guard being the organization that you are a part of, the interplanar guild that has been established in order to collect shards of the World Anvil that break off during the creation of civilization. Okay, there are plenty of expository thoughts which rise to your head. Most pressing of which, however, is the fact that indeed you had gone in earlier for a mandatory reevaluation to perhaps be given back into service as a scout on behalf of the on behalf of the Anvil Guard.
She would hesitate for a moment before opening it. Like, she wants it to be good news, but she has so much doubt right now. And she would not let the messenger see it. I don't know if he's still there, but if he is,
yeah. Cold night we've got having on. It's hope you're keeping warm. Hmm?
Yes, in this oppressively tiny little room. It's very warm.
He kind of pokes his head in. Well, it's what you can get with. I don't think there's any more. I should be leaving, shouldn't I? You can just kind of...
Probably. I'm sure you have places to be.
Oh no, actually, I don't have any more messages. It's my first day. I'm sorry.
What is your name?
My name? Pellin.
Right. Helen, maybe if this is your last message, you should go do whatever it is you do when you're not working.
But I usually go home, help Mum with some of the chores, but it's so late now, I don't know if she'll actually be up.
Well, you should go find out. And she'll just close the door.
Well, bloody all right then. That's just a soft series of grumbles kind of rises from Pellin as he's immediately shunted off of your front doorstep.
And then she tear open the letter once the door's shut.
Yes, the missive itself is written in a very elegant scroll as your commanding officer, a very, you don't want to say severe, but definitely very commanding presence by the name of Barathis, writes in a very even-handed tone. His sort of... Barathis being a sort of persuasive figure within the Anvil Guard, definitely gets across the sort of diplomatic tone as he states very, very factually, given the events which preceded your mandatory retirement from active service and subsequent performance on evaluations, although you do demonstrate a significant improvement given prior instances and given prior instances of behavior and evaluations that we have conducted, I would still recommend, and it is the findings of this collected body, for you to remain off of active service for at least the period of another 45 days. It actually dips into a slightly personal tone, which is unconventional for Barathis, but you've communicated with him for quite some time. I understand, of course, that this will most likely come as a disappointment to you. However, in order for the Anvil Guard to continue operations, every single agent must be at their peak. And while you have demonstrated the capability for this, I would not, in your present state, emotional, mental, etc., ask for you to press upon yourself and draw from a well that has just been refilled. By the light of all civilizations and by all justices, we shall see that you are recovered before asking so much of you. I do hope that by the end of 45 days, we will have a following evaluation which sees to it your reinstatement. Blessings of the Forge be upon you. Barathis.
All the air just leaves her.
lucky that we got that letter. Like, as soon as I said blessings of the forge be upon you, Barathis, it just died. So I was like,
Dramatic.
okay. And I could not hear a damn thing.
So is this push to talk or?
No.
No.
Yeah, we're just on.
We're just on.
You can mute yourself with the button up in the corner of the window.
Yeah, if you so desire.
Okay. Like that. Okay.
That was my friend Sir Scullington. He should be an NPC.
He should.
He should.
Well, they can actually hear us.
Oh, good.
Ooh. Oh, all right.
So that's good.
Cloak of invisibility.
All right. I'm going to check and see. Oh, they can?
Yay, we can be heard.
All right. Fantastic.
Oh, good.
Apologies for that little bit of strange tech gremlinness that we just overcame. You might have actually heard, I just completed the missive to Amaris on behalf of Barathis. And as soon as I said blessings of the Anvil be upon you, it just went. So that's a very interesting little bug. I'm pretty sure that's probably something on Discords, and whatever it is, I'm sure that they will figure it out. But for now...
I dare you to say it again.
That's the magic word to shut off the server. Yeah.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Oh no, I did not know I had this power. But for now, we're just running through another audio system, which everybody can hear. So, Autumn, to give the floor to you once again, as I did not hear your very good description of Amaris' reaction, what happens next?
Upon reading that missive, Amaris just sort of stares at it for a few moments. Like, the words just sort of start to blur because that's exactly what she was dreading. And she punches the wall and just slides down, angry, but trying to just keep it together because she hates being stuck here. She lives for field work, and without that, she's just, that is her hobby, that is her everything, is her job, and it's driving her crazy.
Absolutely. To stride out and to be at the disposal of the Anvil Guard is something that you take great pride in, as many in your profession take great pride in. It is not easy to find shards of the World Anvil and to adapt to such variable situations. And as you punch the wall, you feel a reverberation in your arm as the fist connects to it. It shakes slightly more than you thought you could shake it, and begins to shake a little bit more fervently in response to something that you pray had nothing to do with your punch. And as you note, the calendar on the wall actually swings a little bit and then falls to the ground, clamoring along with a few of the accoutrements that you have decorated this space with. I'd like you to roll a dexterity saving throw.
I started to use push to talk, and it's not a thing now.
Oh no.
That's a 24.
A 24. Effortlessly, and your instincts sort of collapsing back into the field, you dodge out of the way of a falling bookcase that actually was nearby. It clamors and crashes to the ground. Immediately, you begin to hear the sorts of sounds of weary confusion, and a brilliant light emanates from the outside and now in, as if the stars themselves have grown furiously angry. It pervades your senses for a moment. And we must circle back to 15 minutes beforehand. Verinar, your eyelids grow heavy tonight. The doldrums of the evening and the work that you've busied yourself with settle into your mind presently. Oh, but there is still much work to be done. Such important, vital categorization and consolidation of knowledge. Ayun wills it. It would be the height of impropriety to leave this work unfinished. I'd like you to roll a Constitution saving throw.
And
A 10. Ooh. Amidst the many moonlit tomes, who do we now see nodding off? And what has he set about doing that's so mind-numbingly dull?
I am currently categorizing by alphabetically several tomes by an ancient magician long since past, and the honestly very trivial work he did, nothing really of note. This just has to be done. It's very important. Nodding off at his desk is a dark elf of about medium height. He's a little tall for a drow, but a little bit shorter than most humans. Rather spindly build. He has about shoulder length, silvery hair that is pulled back in a low ponytail, and very long eyebrows that kind of like jet off at the sides and stick out a bit over his eyes. And very long ears that kind of bend and curl backwards just a little bit. He has his amber eyes are beginning to close as he falls forward, cushioning himself with the rather comfortable light purple and blue with gold trimmed robes with a sash around his waist. He falls down onto his desk and I presume falls asleep.
With a 10, I'll say that it is not as deep a sleep as you would like it, as your body aches for it, but as you sort of settle yourself amidst your pillowy robes, a shrill voice calls out, "Verinar! Verinar!" It echoes from the illustrious hallways of the Grand Archives of Ayun, a stark contrast to the melodious hum that lulled you to sleep, the melodious hum that pervades these archives. With shambling gait and walking cane firmly in hand, the rotund gnomish form of your mentor, Belladonna Willowgrass, appears. She's actually quite displeased with the small trickle of spittle that has made its way from the corner of your mouth to your chin, and silently, very patiently, admonishes you with naught but a look.
Terribly sorry. I was very busy, as you can see. I needed just a little bit of rest before I got back to it. You understand, right?
Make a deception check.
Seven.
Important work, you say. Tell me, quite quickly now, what exactly were you plugging away at?
Xanathar's, his various listings on alchemical works, the physical applications of salt and pepper in magic.
I'm familiar with this term. I don't remember it being available in such a binding, and you note that what you do describe, you draw upon genuine experience. There is such a guide. However, it is, for one, not written in Elvish. For two, is actually not bound at all. It's actually more loose leaf vellum and whatnot. And for three, does not feature in it a beautifully golden scrawled title saying the many marvelous works of Mordenkainen, commentary provided by some minor wizard that you can't even bother to recall, such as your fatigue.
Well, this is awkward.
Indeed it is. How many years have I raised you?
It's going on about 75?
And how many have I taught you?
About 75.
And when will you learn that lying to me is a mistake? You note the cane has been shifted up to
Well, I suppose
club
maybe another
formation.
75.
At least. It clatters to the ground, and she sighs in a huff. She tousles the loose ponytail and sighs. You must learn to listen to your body as well as you do your mind. Both must work in conjunction for the benefit of all. You do understand this, yes?
Yes, of course.
Have you learned it?
Well, putting it into practice is easier said than done. I apologize.
But it is done.
Indeed.
Now have you eaten?
Today?
That is a worrying answer, Verena.
Well, I have been busy.
As all of us have, and yet we find time. Come here. You note a ghostial hand, semi-skeletal in nature, such as her magics, sort of lifts your chin and beckons you to stand your full height before sort of waving in front of you and waving on. She has already turned away and hobbled towards the exit of the archives.
I follow her.
I must admit, she sort of chooses her words quite carefully. Rexalius may have taught you well the virtues of stubbornness, but I fear it might have been too well. It's not that I fear for you or do not consider you to be capable of taking care of yourself, but I it is a mother's want in life to ensure that her son leads a better life than the one that she might have led. You understand this, yes?
Of course, I've always appreciated you looking out for me.
Sometimes I must question this. You see her raise her cane to a few colleagues who are busily sort of in the throes of intellectual ecstasy as they sort of discover something important to them, not to anybody else. And as you continue outside of the archives themselves, there are a great many stone-wrought pillars lead into a causeway, a thoroughfare almost, that allows the whole of Hestevar to be revealed to you. Taking a moment and taking a breath, it is marvelous, beautiful almost. And so bright. As you look up at the stars, they shine marvelously. Belladonna herself cannot help but pause for a moment at the top steps and look up.
I begin to shield my eyes from the brightness.
I forget, of course. Even after 75 years, I still forget. I suppose I should forgive you for forgetfulness as well. She is prone to having these outside monologues.
Shall we go inside, or do you think? Do I detect something? This is weird. This is wrong.
No, this is. Make an insight check.
I meant about the sky.
Oh, about the sky, you would not incite the sky, I would say that. You would probably roll a nature check for me.
9.
Boy, them some bright stars. Oh boy, let me tell you, just really bright stars. They kind of hurt, but your eyes adjust a little bit after a moment or two. And man, there are just a lot of stars. Yeah, just really great. Really great. Nothing seems amiss.
Shall we go inside then?
No, unless you plan on coming home with me so that I might serve you something relatively decent.
I'm a bit hungry.
A bit. I'll wager.
You caught me.
A terrifying growl comes from your stomach as both of you stop in your tracks. And as it comes forth, billows forth, what seemed to be perfectly normal and bright, brilliant stars intensifies even further. Indeed, as you look around at the staircase that you now find yourself, you note it is almost as bright as day.
Nope, not about it.
The rumbling travels from your stomach through your legs and into the ground, and then immediately reverberates across the rest of you. You do not even hear the breadth of the panic as the light rings out, coating your senses in confusion and in, well, I wish there were another word, but terror. And yet, but we must go 15 minutes beforehand. Leora. The dark corners of Hestevar are quite a sight to behold. The golden hues of the air mix with the clear, pale light that infects the night, and the drone of the street lamps accompanies the silence rather sweetly. It's a far cry from the boisterous docks and bustling townships you are accustomed to. Were accustomed to? Had been accustomed to for quite some time prior to this? At any rate, it is a far cry since your recruitment to the Anvil Guard. Who knows what they saw in you? You were just doing what was right. After all, society needs its do-gooders, and so many shades of do-gooders. Before you get too philosophical, however, I would like you to describe who we see under Hestevar's mindful gaze this night.
Sure. You see a young woman, early 20s, relatively fair skin, hazel eyes, long black hair, a fairly quiet but intense demeanor. She seems to study other people fairly intently. She prefers to be in darker colors, so that's what she'd be wearing right now. Carries herself cautiously and quietly, but you get the feeling that she can handle herself.
A wonderful time indeed. I'd like you to roll a perception check.
Okay. 23.
Oh, wow.
Inquisitive.
I didn't expect the numbers to go that high that early. Okay, wow. You note a familiar pair of eyes as they settle on the back of your head, mainly by the embarrassingly loud fall of the feet which carry them. The night streets of this place continue to stay relatively vacant, as from the shallow alleyway it had clearly and unstealthily dived into, a soft voice calls out with urgent fervor in its tone. Leora! A lone figure emerges, as I said. It is lithe and genderless, a construct with gilded silver firmament and kind eyes which shine a dull yellow. Fumbler clicks and clatters into place as they wave your way, beckoning you to follow.
I do.
The clattering clankering of Fumbler is apparent. Make a history check.
History check, you say?
Indeed. I do say.
21.
Oh, well, just show off then, why don't you? All right. Fine. With a 21, you quite clearly recall the first time that you met Fumbler. A war forged or some sort of construct. It's not that the idea of a sentient machine was completely alien to you. It's just that seeing one that could be in such a state and yet still functioning was a bit of a surprise. As they sort of shamble and clatter their way across another alleyway, you're able to follow them without much ease or without much complication.
Okay.
Continuing along, as both of you were recruited around the same time, there's this kind of camaraderie that Fumbler tries to engender as they walk along. Turning to face you and hopping back, continuing along the path, they sort of wave their hand forward. I found something. I found something brilliantly marvelous. It's in the sky, but only from a certain vantage point. You'll want to certainly see this. I know your mind, or at least I assume to know your mind. I do apologize if I presume to know your mind inerrant. It is obviously, of course, your own and not mine to sort of be privy to.
It's okay. It's okay. Just what is it?
The whir of the servos, which open and close the yellow eyes, whir and click into place as a wide stare. An irregularity that I have not seen for so long.
An irregularity.
Yes, an arcane irregularity that has dotted the night sky, just as numerous as the stars.
Okay, well, that gets my attention, and I look up.
Make an Arcana check.
Okay.
Or a nature check, whichever is highest. Because you have, I can tell that your character is having a hard time with the rolls this session.
Well, now that you said that.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
You know that. Oh well, okay. I'm gonna. That's a nat 20.
Of course it is.
It's just because it's the debut. After this.
This was recompense for this is karmic recompense for the technical difficulties. I see. Wonderful.
Yes.
Good.
That's what it is.
Good. All right. So, Leora, as you look up, you note the irregularities. They are extremely subtle, unfortunately, from this vantage point, but even from here, you see a shimmering sort of shattering pattern. It's not unlike that which has been described to you in the events of Pieces of the World Anvil shattering, but it comes with a different sort of energy, a chaotic sort of resonance which cascades across the night sky. You better get a good look at this, because this might actually be something terrible. And that Fumbler is so happy about this is...
You've seen this before?
Yes, I have. On my homeworld, there was such a cacophony that filled the air once. It was actually quite marvelous in a sort of morbid sense, because it actually shattered the realm quite severely. It took centuries to actually put back together, but I think it to be...
What exactly am I looking at? Because that doesn't I mean, I've heard something like this described, but that doesn't look right.
Oh, well, from the vantage point, I can explain it much more thoroughly.
Okay.
Are you following along?
Yeah.
Wonderful. They sort of tip, tap, and clack across the cobblestones up a slight, well, I say slight, up a sheer wall that basically blocks your path. They climb up it with nary a worry or care. I need you to roll acrobatics.
Not my strong suit. You said I was having no problem with my rolls. This is a 6.
Okay. Hoo boy, you sort of make your way halfway up the wall and then get stuck. Like you just can't find a way to sort of situate your body in between this alleyway. Oh! Immediately a sort of metal clasped hand grabs onto you and hoists you up. As you ascend, however, you note that the patterns in the sky begin to intensify and actually head into a direction that's familiar. Make another history check.
That is a 13.
Okay. You're not entirely sure of the geographical sort of specifics of Hestevar. You're relatively new here, but you are sure that this is heading towards the headquarters of the Anvil Guard.
Okay, I have to go right now.
What? No, I thought you wanted to know what exactly this was.
Well, then tell me as we go, because I have to warn some people.
Well, no, I can't tell you unless you see it. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, especially from this vantage point, because it's actually very clear that it is consolidating energy of the calamity.
Energy of the
Yes.
energy of the calamity.
Yes, calamity. You've not heard of calamity?
I don't know, Game Master. Have I heard of the calamity?
This is entirely new to you. You have never heard of this concept before.
No, I haven't.
What? Ah, how strange. They usually recruit people who have at least heard about it. You must have had some sort of exceptional skill that they were sure that you were able to adapt to such a variable situation. It's basically the most chaotic energies present within the multiverse and the inlines which sort of stitch it together. Think of it as... think of the multiverse as a garment. Brilliantly, wonderfully woven and constructed thing. We can add to the garment if we so like, but in order to do that, we have to harness a string of a sort. This we call, at least amidst my sort of circles, the calamity. It must be clarified through the world anvil. You've heard of the world anvil, yes, at least? Yes. So, and as they are explaining this, the situation is getting far worse.
Okay.
Quite rapidly.
I think I get the picture. We need to go and tell people. So
tell people what? Oh, they probably, at least the people who need to know that it's the calamity. And if they don't know, they'll certainly know very soon because it'll be actually in. Oh, well, actually, as I speak, it might actually be apparent. And you note that the light has grown much more intense, much more pulsating, and it. Even though it seems to emanate for a moment from beyond the headquarters, suddenly the stars in the night sky pulsate and emanate as well. It's actually quite like this. I can't quite remember what happens afterwards. I just remember that it was an event that did happen. And boy, was it as bad as people said that it was? I don't remember. They call it calamity, but I don't think it to be personally that objectionable.
I am hightailing it to the headquarters.
As you hightail, I need you to roll another dex check, but this time a dexterity saving throw.
The dex save, okay.
Yes. Fumbler will be making this at disadvantage.
That is an 18.
If I don't drop my dice. So an 18 for you, and for Fumbler, who's sort of confused as to why you're running away. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Where are you going? You've nothing to worry about except for what happens after this event. Immediately, you note that a few cracks begin to form along certain walls as the road itself shakes and tumbles. A few of the cobblestones actually dislodge, as if gravity itself begins to sort of work in an opposite fashion and then gloriously zip around. One immediately clocks Fumbler right in the face, taking with it about half of their jaw, which doesn't actually, as you know, Fumbler, doesn't actually affect anything. The jaw is really just for articulation. It's not for pronunciation or anything. There's an actual cord, but it's really rather gruesome as Fumbler kind of like looks around and, ow, no, that actually quite reminds me how bad this is. We should probably tell someone.
I just keep going.
And indeed, as you run along, various bits of architecture and stone dislodge themselves and whiz through the air until such time as the light itself takes over all your senses and you are just running, praying that you are going in the right direction. Winry and Kaldur. 15 minutes before this. The resplendent halls of the Anvil Guard reverberate with the stagnant beat of the world anvil. It thrums through the two of you as daylight has come to an end, and you are relieved from your respective responsibilities. Though you occupy separate portions of the facilities present here at headquarters, it seems the fates are rather whimsical with the arrival of the stars, as through no fault of your own, you arrive at the entryway of the headquarters at approximately the same time. Walking down from opposite staircases, we see the two of you. Kaldur, if you could describe yourself rather briefly, as we see you descend the staircase that leads to the offices of the Realm Striders.
The figure that walks down the stairs is rather a well-built individual. He has a bald head that has been shaven and engraved with a crown of runes that mark his most prominent feature. Despite the air of what would be a magic user, a mage, or a druid maybe, he is quite lean and muscular and athletic. His arms reveal this in a short-sleeved shirt with a blacksmith's apron firmly attached to the front of his chest, containing a variety of very fine and delicate tools, from picks to chisels, sculptor's tools, and more. His arms also contain the same sort of runic markings on his forehead and run the entire length. As he walks down and catches sight of Winry, his gaze becomes rather stern, almost like he's sort of walking a little bit more upright, and his jaw has gotten a bit stiffer.
A rather imposing figure, especially for a wizard.
Mm.
Winry, who do we note as from the offices specifically of, and let me make sure that I get their name right, because if I get them wrong, oh boy.
It's canon.
Yes. Well, what a surprise. Of the Forgers. Who do we see as you descend from a elegantly constructed yet perfectly only for function staircase?
You probably hear her before you see her, Winrianne. She treads very heavily down the stairs, and she's a big woman. She's tall and she is broad. She is muscular. She also wears a leather apron, which is unsurprising. Most blacksmiths do. And she's got a good black smudging over her face. And as she walks, there's swinging around at her waist hammers and chisels and small tools and large tools. But, apart from that, apart from being enormous and quite a terrifying presence, she's got quite a sweet face. She's got a little button nose. She's got quite full lips. She's got white hair with a blue streak, sort of pulled back for now because she's been working. And the effect is marred slightly by the fact that she has a leather eye patch over one of her eyes. So it's sort of strapped around the back of her head. And there's sort of there's been attempt made to make it lovely, to make it beautiful, to make it feminine. It's got little chasings of leaves on it, little berries in places, but it's a leather head strap that covers the fact that she only has one eye. And that is what she looks like. And as she looks at Caldor, it's you. I've seen enough of your ugly face. What are you doing here?
I'm trying to figure out exactly what I must have done today to warrant the kind of misfortune across your ugly path.
Well, honestly, the smell alone should have warned me. I mean, to look at you, can't bear the smell of you.
Ugh, I know. I got the bug repellent from the man at the store. He said he kept away giant piss, but here you are still.
As we get closer, I slap him on the back very hard, and I'm like, how are you, you ugly old expletive?
He sort of lurches forward. I'm fine. How are you doing, sis?
Making some things, making some mess. It's a good day.
I bet you are. Me doing the same thing, just underappreciated. You know how it is.
That's because you're always fannying around with all of that magic stuff. You should be doing something real.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I need to ruin my fingers using those forges.
Well, you ruined your face already. What about your fingers? Oh, come on, let's go eat.
Speaking about ruining your face, I pull out a small handkerchief and I rub the black smear off her face. At least look half decent if we're going to go see the folks,
I don't know. I thought less is more, less of my face, more attractive.
No, trust me and every other person that's seen you, more is more.
Throat clears as you banter. It is eminently paternal and somewhat weary, but only from the travel it has undergone. If you so desire, I'd like you to make a perception check.
What if I don't desire? What if
If you don't want to see, then you don't get to see.
No, I will.
I want to see.
That is a glorious 15.
I see everything.
With a perception check of?
A dirty 20.
A dirty 20.
Ooh.
A dirty 20.
That's the only 20 we like.
Oh dear.
It's the only 20 we know, love.
As you both look around, you note that you don't have to wait to see your folks, or at least one of your folks. Given that your father stands broad-shouldered, like, even though, of course, you're very impressed with your own physique, for a man of his age to have accumulated and maintained this much muscle mass, quite impressive. And actually, as you note, the sort of gut that that pervades his form, he nonetheless kind of... You assume he smiles, given the thick braided silver beard that that lands squarely at his chest, and his magnificent armor sort of glinting in the moonlight. Excuse me, provides a little bit more to the austere picture of your father, whose name is, oh dear, what's his name again?
Hamish.
It could be nothing but Hamish, of course. And as Hamish settles in and looks to the two of you, I see that you're still giving each other hell.
You're right, Da.
Yeah, we're doing fine, old Jin. Yeah, just playful banter is all.
How goes your trembling, Caldur?
It's all right, you know. Every now and then, you know, it sort of kicks up again, but it is fine. Thanks for asking, Da.
And your tempering?
Well, you know, I mean, look, you can't rush things, and all right, you know, I could be a little bit better, but I'm working on it, Da. I am.
You're working on it better. You were working on it with the Forgers for a while. You're then working on it with the Wardens, the Seekers.
Well, yeah, Da, but you know, I mean, you can't rush these sorts of things, you know. They wouldn't want me wasting all my talent on you know, the wrong field, you know.
Make a persuasion check.
I am not persuasive. That is a 0.
A 0.
Oh!
That is a flat and determined 0.
He is done with
Okay.
your crap.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm kind of like the on sabbatical student. Like, you know, I've gone to like, yeah.
Yeah.
On your
you've got-
gap year.
It's my
You're
gap
trying
year.
Yeah, you're trying to find out what exactly is going on. And it's very strange. Your father has this particular habit that crops up every now and again, especially when Caldor's talking, that it almost seems as though he glides across the floor to get closer and closer. And as you sort of justify exactly what's going on, Caldor, you note that you are now looking up to your father as he towers over you, a solid 7 foot.
Well, I mean, I promise. I swear. This month, I'll do you prouder. Have you seen Winry's new eye patch? I mean, she made it herself. I sort of elbow her in the gut a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's I like totally, made it myself, definitely. But Calder's gonna like totally help me with the chasing on it. So because he's really good, you know, like he's doing really well, and he's like really finding himself and stuff.
Make a persuasion check at disadvantage, given Caldor's marvelous performance.
Disadvantage.
The man got a 0. I can't be any nicer. 10, you said.
I've got this many.
Yeah, that many. Okay.
That's technically infinitely better than what I did.
Sliding over to you now, focusing his attentions on you, Winry, and between the two of you, Hamish kind of settles. Darkly chuckles to himself. And tell me, is that the only thing that you've worked on?
No, come on. I've done loads of stuff. I've been buffing up the armor. I've been she works her fingers for a second trying to remember what the hell she was doing today. I did riveting. It was riveting.
She's been working on something new, Da. Something, you know, a bit hush under the nose. She wants to surprise you, so, you know, best not press too much, you know. Your birthday's coming up and what have you, yeah?
Yeah, totally. Like that's absolutely what I've been doing. It's really secret, but it's gonna be really great. Like
You'll
you're
be so
really
proud.
gonna like it, I think. It's very
a boisterous
different.
laugh. A boisterous laugh fills this entryway, startling a few of the other people who have just gotten off of work. So they're kind of like looking over and thinking a few times before just, oh yeah, it's Hamish. So just going along. Looks to the both of you. I swear, if more bullshit were to come out of your mouths, I could start a fan.
Well, we learn from the best. What can I say, Da? Let's go eat, shall we? This has been a lot of chat.
Come here. He grabs the both of you rather forcefully into a spectacular bear hug.
Great.
Da, I need my ribs.
He lets you both go. Lets you both go quite easily. Oh boy. Well, I came here only because I had good news for the both of you.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Aye.
who tell then? Go on.
I probably figured that you were too busy, but your ma actually recovered her shard perfectly well. It was actually lodged in the side of some sort of boat that travels along the River Styx. I don't know if I ever told you about that. Look, as it stands, let it be known that, yes, after an extended absence, we'll actually be having a bloody decent good meal together as a family. So,
Right
what we
then.
do.
so you have to promise me something, eh?
Yeah.
Aye.
What?
No talk of work. Eh?
Oh, aye.
Not
Aye
a
da.
word about this Anvil Guard business. I know it's in the Vilchan's blood to be proud of what we've done here, being founders and whatnot, or, guiding lights. Your mother's about had it. It's a bit of a kerfuffle that she had with one of the higher-ups. Just maybe not talk about it. It's probably for the best, eh?
All right. No work talk.
Mm.
Sure.
And, Calder, I know that I say it a lot of times, but quit lying. You're shit at it.
Aye da. Yeah, I'll, You're right. When you're right, you're right.
And, look, I know that you're finding your way. I know that both of you are finding your way through this family calling, this tempering. You just... No matter what, however you fit, just please promise me one thing. You'll do something great before I die.
No pressure then.
Yeah, you're looking a bit old, Jin, eh?
Well, I'm not
No,
going to
actually-
die soon. For all you know, I can live another 1,000 years here.
What, with that gut and all, I say, just like giving him a gentle poke in the
Aye.
tummy.
And as you do, it's actually kind of strange because it looks like a gut, but it's rock hard. So it's like very, right.
Seems like a medical issue.
Right, enough faffing about. Let's go. And he strides forward. These very thick arms just sort of swaying from side to side, very confidently.
As Dad sort of moves forward and sort of leads the way, Calder sort of looks at Winry and follows suit. His gait kind of changes a little bit, so he almost looks like a kid sort of trailing behind his dad, like, back in the day. So he's got kind of like a more youthful exuberance.
I see. Interesting. I'd like you each to roll a perception check.
Crap.
Let us
And here
see
I was,
what
happy
we
for a
can
moment.
see.
Oh, that's not bad. 18.
15.
Whenever your father strides and he's not getting onto you, you hear his footfalls very, very clear as day. As he walks along, however, there's a disconcerting crunch that accompanies it, but not here, elsewhere. Indeed, in some of the pillars which support the grand entryway to headquarters. And indeed, Hamish himself sort of stops and looks up. And at the top of it, there is a brilliant glass dome. And through it, a brilliant light shines through. It is diffused in several different colors before quickly accompanying a shattering of infinite magnitude. Each of you, within your own little auspices, have experienced what historians within the great archives of Ayum will eventually term the descent of calamity. All of you, within your respective instances, are rattled around, shaken and thrown about. And as it continues, it seems endless for the time that it happens. A minute turns to 2, turns to 3 and 4, and through it you are pelted with debris and calamity before a stunning silence. Again, as historians will soon determine, or eventually determine, it lasted for naught but 9 minutes. And yet, as the light and sound subsides, it has changed things. Leora. A lone cat darts across your path after the calamity has subsided. Dust of, reddish golden hue pervades the area as a few storefronts have collapsed and the sleepy denizens of Hestevar gradually make their way out of their homes. Within the district that you are in, you are solidly within Pelor's auspices, and they sort of attend to people rather holistically. Indeed, you note a Fleetfoot, a nervous halfling who seems to be helping a few of his kin out of what seems to be a partially collapsed building. You note Dragonborn, golden in color, who seems to be drawing various runes and creating a bit of a healing circle, creating some food and water as well, with the assistance of a what's the name? A Genasi, formless air Genasi, who seems to be conjuring, quite strangely, some water. As the cat darts across, Fumbler rolls behind, given that both of their legs have detached.
Oh no.
A clattering mass of metal kind of looks up at you, again, half the jaw missing, but still articulating. Oh, this was bad.
Yeah. Where are your legs?
They hold them up in their hands.
Okay. We'll have to get you fixed.
I can fix myself perfectly well. Didn't we have to warn people? It seemed like an awful long time. I actually don't remember what we were doing.
We were trying to warn people, but I think we were too late.
There might be something strange going on.
Yeah.
You hear Fumbler sort of shout out as a spark kind of flies from a bit of missing skull plate that you assume was probably pretty important.
Oh. Still, I think I need to check in with my employers. I have a feeling there's something, well, this is probably above my pay grade.
I have many feelings, actually. None of them are good. A sort of twitch pervades Fumbler's servos.
Well, let's go. If I don't know, can you follow? Can you roll? How long will it take you to get your legs back on?
You see Fumbler sort of roll around you in confirmation that, yes, indeed, locomotion is possible.
Okay.
Even with half their hit points missing.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Fumbler got got the real short end of the stick with the 2 on a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. I can try to help. I'm not really good at this, but I mean, I just need to get back to the office. I'm still not used to saying that. It feels very strange to say that. I'm used to doing things on my own.
I need you to roll a perception check.
Okay. That is a 14.
Okay, as you look up in the night sky, the patterns that were all at once chaotic now become a little bit more regular. They are going in the opposite direction as well, and with other brilliant hues. Gold and green, purple, and all forms of light emanate. You see all at once one identifiable shard of the world anvil, which is perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal. Under most circumstances, you know, it's nothing too bad. Then another, then 3 others, and 6, and 7. Across this very narrow sort of street view.
Uh-huh.
This is more than you've seen before.
Okay.
And given Fumbler's reaction, it might be time to get a check-in with headquarters.
Yeah, there's really, definitely time to check in with
The boss.
Heading to do just that.
Okay. As you continue along, make an athletics check.
Net 20.
Wow, okay.
I'm highly motivated.
Highly motivated, especially now. Fumbler tries to keep up. Doesn't really. Sort of tumbles along behind as best as they can. Their notedly gilded silver sort of artifice has now been scuffed to a terrible, like almost like nickel texture, like really not that brilliantly shiny. But as they go along, they just sort of are espousing the warning call that they have come up with. Might be something going on here. Very strange indeed.
That's great, Fumbler. You keep doing that.
You don't say. You hear as you note what seems to be a tailor kind of pulling out some spare mannequins from a shop that has just been utterly destroyed. Verinar. The worst of the shaking you were able to avoid, especially given Belladonna's magical ability. About a minute in, you heard that over the ensuing calamity, you heard a thwack of her cane to the ground, and you were suspended in air. The physical sensation was alleviated, but not the audio, visual, and sensory inputs that quickly overwhelmed your senses. After the light clears, you note in the night sky. Make another nature check for me. Oh, you're muted.
There's a quarter in the jar.
There's a quarter.
Just nature? I can't do Arcana or anything?
Whichever's higher.
Jeez. 9 again.
Okay, that was weird. You didn't see that before, but you now know that something is very, very wrong. Certifiably, something has gone wrong, especially considering you see on the horizon, making a perception check real quick.
23.
Finally, there's the good roll. You actually see about, at first glance, it seems to be about 114, then 127. Then it dips down because you might have overcompensated. Oh no. A lot of shards from the World Anvil have now splintered off and gone into all sorts of directions. You hear, actually, with the 23, a few of them land in the sea below, as is what often happens. But as these shards continue over the city of Hestabar, oh boy, wow, that's a lot. A lot more than anticipated. You know that daily, or excuse me, weekly, there's never been more than maybe a handful or two handfuls at a time that have shattered and splintered off. This is bad, really bad. Oh no, by all gods, this is terrible. And Belladonna kind of levitates you both to the ground as it stills. And as you see a few archivists kind of come out and in hushed tones discuss exactly what's happening. Wide-eyed, Belladonna kind of looks around, trying to scour her own memory to see if there's any point of recognition that might be had, considering whether or not I can find a D20. Aha. Yep. This is rather sudden. I will say that. You suddenly see her eyes kind of grow with fear. Rex, we have to. You don't mind if we were to eat on the go, would you?
No, let's go. Let's go quickly.
Fantastic. She actually draws a circle around the both of you and taps it rather quickly. A dimensional door pops up from the staircase as she jumps through.
Cool.
Do you follow?
Oh yeah.
Hey, just in case. It's like, no.
Well, that was neat.
I want to walk all the way home. As you do, you descend to the bottom of the staircase quite rapidly, and her pace quickens. Within about 10 minutes, you are able to secure what's left of the sort of breads that she had made. They are kind of coated with dust, and part of the living room has collapsed, as well as their bedroom. Your bedroom is still fine, though. Although there are a few designs and other sort of tomes that have been flayed and knocked about.
I'm very upset about this.
Of course you are, but effortlessly, Belladonna issues out an unseen servant who quietly begins the work of tidying the house. Before too long, you are on your way to the headquarters, and I need you to roll an athletics check.
14.
14, you say. 14, you say. Bernard with a 14. Amaris, excuse me. As you inadvertently stumble out into the street, given the force of the shocks, and as you are exposed to this brilliant light, an eternity, it feels like, passes. But suddenly you spill out and steady yourself as best you can. A few of the cobblestones have been unlodged. A few buildings have been well and truly collapsed. But on the whole, it doesn't seem as though there was much consequence beyond the sound and fury, as long as you don't look up.
But she would be kind of familiar with that, and she does look up a little bit.
Perception check, please.
Sorry for the noise.
All good.
That's 16.
The apartment that you were situated on was actually off of a wide street within Hestevar. Not a rarity, but definitely a luxury afforded to certain members who have shown exemplary service. And as you look up, 30 shards pass overhead. That's only what you see. And indeed, as you sort of make your way out, you note a couple of persons who have kind of stuck their heads out the window and are yelling to each other, neighbors, making sure that they're all right. You are alone on the city street, however. People have elected to stay inside, at least in this part of town.
I imagine that she's the kind of person who keeps her things by the door, even in her incarceration, just instinctively grabbed them and ran out.
It's not incarcerate. I resent the implication.
It feels like it.
It feels like it, though. So go ahead and tell me this sort of traveling pack that you assemble and what you're doing.
She would have her coat. She has a big sort of duster overcoat with lots of pockets for all of her things. Her bow and her arrows mounted at the belt. And her teacup holster, which sits there as a part of the belt. And she would just sling that on as she ran out and instinctively head for where she imagines her commanding officer would be.
That would be headquarters.
Yeah, she would be heading for headquarters because this is bad. I've seen this. It's bad.
Make an athletics check for me and a wisdom check for me.
Okay. I'm going to mute the microphone for a second so this doesn't make a huge noise this time.
Sure.
I want to hear how loud those dice are. I want the doom of the numbers.
You want to hear the metal one? That's it. Oh, it's actually a good one too.
Okay.
Boom.
Go on.
So for the athletics.
Jumping.
Athletics.
Yep.
Is only an 8.
Okay.
The other one I got a natural 20 on.
Okay. As you sort of I'll phrase it as this. Your equipment fits you like a glove. It is easy for you to get and easy for you to take care of. Yet as you sort of pick up at the teacup holster, the holster itself sort of falls off. You catch the plate in time, but within your gaze, you do see that familiar stain. The blood that your partner left behind. Stops you for a moment, but you recall Baratheus's letter about how you have proven yourself before. And you can prove yourself again. As you holster the teacup itself, put it by your side. Out of the corner of your eye, you almost see their smile again. Pride swells in your chest, and you run as quickly as you can. Kaldor, Winry. Similar to Verinar, the first 2 minutes are a calamity. Yet, as you sort of try to get your bearing immediately, or almost immediately, a grand warhammer slams to the ground, its head burying into the staircase itself. A shield of light covers the both of you, unfortunately intensifying the already bright light that is inherent. But with closed eyes, you hear Hamish begin to shout in Dwarvish, if either of you understand.
I do.
in a sort of chanting fashion, "We will not break, we will not fall, we will not break, we will not fall." As the magics work through the hammer and through his body, actually coursing as the protective sphere, which he has now encased you all in, does its duty. As the minutes pass and as almost eternity wins through your system, the shield collapses and you note Caldur and Winry. Your father is kind of grabbing to the pommel of the warhammer, using it almost as a support as he drags himself up.
So I think... Oh, sorry.
I will, for him, roll that. And luckily, that's enough, given his constitution. All right. As he makes his way up. Oh, I'm praying that both of you are in one piece when I turn around. And he looks back, and you see just a veritable bucket of sweat pouring down from his forehead.
I think as he turns around, he will see me and Caldur, all pretense at rivalry, completely given up, clinging onto each other. From the minute the sky started to shatter around us, we, like, everything forgotten. We grabbed onto each other. We were both like, "It's all right, buddy." So we're both kind of hanging onto each other.
You note your father kind of like tried to suppress a little bit of a blush and a smile as he sees both of his beautiful children as they were coming out of the womb, embraced in similar fashion, and he just kind of like, "It's good to see that both of you are all right."
Get off me!
And that nothing has changed. Well, at least not here. And he casts his eyes upward.
Are you right? I'll sort of rush over to him.
Yeah, I grab the other arm, I think.
Make a medicine check.
Yes.
$16.
16, okay. And Winry?
18.
Look.
Caldur, you do note it's very strange. The spell that he cast was nothing outside of his purview, especially as a cleric, similarly to Winry, a cleric of the Forge. But the intensity with which it battered against him is strange, and it obviously took a toll. Not enough to knock him down, of course. He's perfectly fine, at least in that regard. Winry, you do note, however, there is a sizable and prominent bruise on his back that has just freshly developed and actually is growing as if somebody was like, this is a very morbid image, so like if this creeps anybody out, I'm sorry. It is as if some creature clawed at his back with no sign of laceration. And
cool.
this sort of bruise continues to grow.
Okay, how can we see this? Like, is he not wearing a shirt? Is the shirt gone? We see
it's
above?
sort the way that his uniform is, even though he does have the armor. You note that a couple of latches have unhinged, and the undershirt allows you to see his back in this state.
All right. You are one sweaty Betty. All right, let's see what I can do for you here. I put my hands on his back, and I cure wounds. I rolled an 8, so he gets some wounds back.
All right.
But as I do that, I sort of track down and see how far these things are going and try and get a sense of what's going on.
That's an Arcana check. Caldur, as you note, Winry is kind of healing these wounds. You do see from your angle, it was kind of hard to see, but as you unlatch his portion of the armor, and it falls to the ground, you note this sort of bruising pattern that has
Cool.
Since been revealed. Winry, you can lift the shirt up and sort of trace it. Make an Arcana check.
Can I make an Arcana check as well?
Both of you, yeah, sure.
Sweet.
Ooh,
That is a 23.
It's some kind of magical juju, or maybe not. I don't know. It's
Oh, for
not
goodness
really my
sake, it's not a
department.
rock. Let me look at it.
you.
Your head's a rock.
Both of you, could you spare your dad a thought and at least be kind for the next 5 minutes?
I da, sorry da. And I'll...
As you do look, it's okay.
It looks fine. It looks okay.
Shall we say that the raw forces of creation are a dangerous thing to handle? As the Anvil Guard understands it, Erathis uses the world anvil to harness chaos and put it into civilization, to translate it, as it were, with intense and oftentimes, shall we say, careful attention paid especially to what is commonly known as calamity. It's not a being. It's not a individual force. It is, shall we say, it's inertia. It is just as gravity. It is something that exists. There are certain things that can direct calamity, like Erathis, and like, well, certain devils and demons and elementals and other sort of interested parties. And they do leave markings much like this. Calder, specifically, you note that this seems to be a demonic presence that must have conjured this, because the violence inherent in the act definitely betrays sort of chaotic evil energy.
So with that kind of wound, does calamity spread like poison, or is it sort of like a once it's done, it's done?
Once it's done, it's done, when you're trained to fight against it. And luckily, your father is trained. And as the cure wounds sink into his flesh, the bruise stops growing, and you note that he's able to roll his shoulders very, very carefully and very, very slowly and stand upright for a few seconds before collapsing back onto his warhammer.
We grab his arm.
I'm fine.
Yeah, you're fine. Look at your armor. What the hell did you do to that? Come on. Let's go sit down and I'll buff that out. I'm sure I've got a number 4 around here somewhere.
I'll as
you hear a cacophonous cry as one of the lead scouts zips by almost. You note a grappling hook that attaches to one of the not crumbling but certainly damaged pillars, and pull forward as on the stairs lands a half-elven gentleman of loose attire and very severe personality. As he looks to you all and blinks a couple of times, you all know Barathis pretty well. He's the commandant of the scouts, basically. The head cat herder for that group. You note that a few of his number have also begun to sort of go out, accompanied by a few of Pelor's Fleetfoots, who you see sort of congregated at the bottom of the staircase, running up, then immediately turning back as messages are sort of being received and interpreted in multiple different languages. Barathis stands amidst the lot of you and blinks a few times. he actually kind of collapses on his 3-point landing and sits back on the staircase, fatigued to all hell. 187. 187 confirmed events. Simultaneous. Varying magnitude. I don't know how many have landed into the sea. Salvagers are on it.
187, did you say?
That's not even possible.
Well, it is. And it just happened.
I'm sorry to ask, sir, but are you all right?
You know, sort of the pulsating of his forehead that he tries to massage out. I'm fine. Raw energy is the calamity. So, got to a few, not to me. Too quick. Some of the guards got the worst of it. They're off to the healers. Fleetfoots are getting out to their own.
I'll turn straight to my father as he says this and see what his reaction to this is.
A stony silence pervades Hamish as he stands there.
But there doesn't seem to be any doubt from Hamish about what's being said.
Go ahead and make an insight check.
I will do the same. Looking
That
for
is
shapes in the beard.
24.
24, and Winry?
15.
Winry, your dad under normal circumstances is hard to read. Now that this event has happened, he's deep in contemplation. He doesn't doubt the veracity of the statement. He's just sort of wrestling with its magnitude. Kaldor, you get the sense of a man who's basically going to have to tell his wife, hey, honey, we're going to have to pull some overtime. But magnified by the fact that everybody is going to have to work some overtime.
By great Agathis, this is insane. This is unprecedented.
Well, yes, but on the bright side, it's also terrible. And Barathis kind of like leans against the staircase, finally letting the fatigue settle in. Leora, as the first to make it to headquarters, you are able to weave your way through the crowd of Fleetfoots who have been going the other way, and a few of the scouts who, with their own sort of grappling hooks and whatnot, been able to get around to whoever needs be. Fumbler has sort of been lost in the crowd now, as you note a couple of legs sort of waving after you, trying to say, hey, having a bit of a time here. And they are unfortunately swept away. But as you continue on, with echoes of, there's something very strange going on here, you make your way through the crowd and up the steps to note Barathis, the head scout, who is not your commanding officer, as you are considered a warden, who is apart from the scouts. But make a perception check.
14.
You notice your particular captain, a sort of sallow-faced elf, similar to Verinar, long ears, but a sort of autumnal glow sort of permeates their personage, an Eladrin by the name of Kezret, who sort of descends the staircase as well, ready for action, heavily armed as well, as he approaches Barathis and begins to speak in Sylvan at him. Anybody who speaks that can listen. Amaris is not there just yet. Kaldor, you note as Kezret kind of steps forward and looks to Barathis, who is basically just sprawled out on the stairs. he speaks in Sylvan tones and says, "How many confirmed events?" A singular sort of finger is raised in protest as Barathas catches his breath. 180. Oh, that's a lot more than anticipated or projected to even potentially happen. If ever an event like this would. Again, just really unprepared. Like, Barathas was on the night shift. This wasn't something that was supposed to happen. As Kezret kind of looks out, he notes you, Leora, and narrows his eyes, descending rather quickly and dropping into common. He sort of speaks very plainly. Right? 187 confirmed events of shattering, only some of which are salvageable. The rest fall unto us. I know that you're new here, but I would appreciate your willful participation in this matter.
Okay, you got it?
Have you seen any of your fellow wardens?
I don't think so. I mean, the only one I've seen is Fumbler, so.
Oh, where are they?
Somewhere.
You, looking around you, being that Eladrins are a little bit shorter, looks out, peers over the crowd, and a single sort of leg is raised, and a faint cry of "something's definitely wrong" is swept away around a corner. Kezret looks back up to you. We'll get him in a moment. All right. Follow me. We'll have to meet with the higher-ups. He, with a very quick heel turn, goes back up the steps as you are greeted by a few other wardens. At which point, Verenor... by the way, Kaldor and Winry, you see Leora and Kezret depart. Verenor? From another dimensional door, Belladonna emerges, hobbling up the stairs. You quickly in tow. She has a bit of, not a basket, but definitely a few, like a small thing of cloth that functions as she chomps on a piece of black bread and continues upward. Her mind races at 1,000,000 miles a minute, and she notes Hamish, quickly going up to him and in similar fashion to Kaldor and Winry, begins investigating his body unbidden. She sort of looks around, notes, and does not speak to any of you. Verenor, you are amidst Kaldor and Winry, with your mother just poking around at one of the chiefs of the forge of the Anvil Guard.
Hello there. Sorry about her. She gets a little protective.
God, are we familiar with Belladonna or Verenar?
Make a history check.
I shall. It will not go well.
24.
1!
Ooh,
Who the hell is this woman? And why is she poking my father?
Kaldor, you recognize Belladonna.
I'll sort of place a hand up to Winry, and without saying anything, sort of just nod. It's okay. Just
good, because you saw Winry go.
Yeah, she reached for a hammer, and I'm like, no, don't beat the old woman.
She's only helping.
Clay's sick. Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Right, you great big lump. Where's my husband? Hamish kind of like looks over to Belladonna. Pleasure as always. He's probably inside. What is it going to be? Working overtime. Tonight especially. I've no doubt about that. I've been needing him as well. if you'd be willing to lend him. Verinar, you note this enormous man point a very meaty finger at you.
Oh, yes, me. Hello. What?
Well, you're, judging by the robes, you're some kind of a union, right? Worship as a great archivist and all that.
Yes, that is where I spend most of my time. Are you in need of assistance?
The question hangs as just another 20 shards pass overhead.
Yes, what is going on here exactly?
Barathis tries to answer.
Apparently, a great calamity has exploded over the city, and 187 shards have been flung into the cosmos. So yeah,
197 now, I think.
207 now, actually.
That's terrible. Well, damn shame that.
So let's go get them. What are we waiting for? I mean,
let's go get them, she says.
That's what we do, isn't it?
Well, you're waiting for me to finally get off my house. Be a use for once. And you actually see him use the cane formally or use the warhammer as a
warhammer.
Cane formally.
Is he still damaged? I'm so sorry, Michael.
Oh, no, that's fine, as he does so, Calder sort of places his hands together, and as he does, the runic tattoos on his arm begin to shift and change almost like cylinders, and he begins to expand his hands outwards and creates a rather robust-looking dwarven cane using my minor conjuration ability, which I then hand over to him to lean on and use.
You note that this is a dwarven cane. Is this for a dwarven-sized person?
It's styled dwarven.
Okay, good.
Elongated to suit my dad. Even for humans, it would be like a half-giant's cane.
Yeah, pretty much.
It would be a tree.
So, as... well, I must say that I felt more comfortable with this, but he lets go of the hammer, and it immediately dissipates from his hand, basically disappearing into energy, whereas he now has this cane. Yeah. All right. Higher-ups are going to want to speak at us. Probably want our advice. Oh. You hear a slight gurgle in his stomach. Belladonna helpfully gives the largest piece of literal, a loaf of whole rye bread, which he kind of scarfs on.
I am staring, not even being non discreet about this at all, just staring at Calder's tattoos and what he just did, because I haven't seen this form of magic in person before, and this is fascinating. Yes. So I'm kind of just 15 feet away on the other side of this kind of courtyard, bottom of the stairs situation, where I'm just staring at you.
Well, go on, boy. Introduce yourself. I taught you better than that, didn't I?
Oh, is this Bella? Am I being scolded, or is he being scolded?
Yeah, yes, Bella.
Who's being scolded? We're both being scolded.
Not the 7-foot muscle man that's standing right next to her as a gnome. Although she probably would, to be perfectly honest.
I straight. Gotta unmute that if I'm gonna talk. Yes, I tighten my gloves a bit and stride forward, and I have kind of very stiff, kind of robotic kind of movements almost, and I just extend my hand and I'm like, Verena, very nice to meet you. Hello, Verena.
Calder sort of grabs him by the forearm rather robustly and shakes him. Calder, Vilhan, this is my sister Winry.
Very nice. I kind of don't let go immediately, and I just sort of look at his arm a little bit more, and then I kind of see that
you're rather uncomfortable here. If we keep going, you'll have to buy me a drink.
Sorry.
So Ioun, is it? Not everyone's choice. Little bit booky, maybe, but not really ready for action. Would you say?
Action,
I sort of walk around him as my brother is trying to rip his arm off.
No, action's not my specialty, but I suppose you've hit the nail on the head, so to speak. Books, all that manner.
He's a quick learner, don't worry.
Oh, an excellent penmanship from what I understand.
Well, not if you keep ripping his arm off. Put him down, Coldor.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all right.
My brother gets a bit overexcited.
Yes, well, enthusiasm is always good. So I'm told.
Well, that was vague. Well done. Very good.
I don't get out much.
we?
Thank you very much.
That's all right. Truth be told, neither does she. Makes better friends with the kiln than she does with other people.
Oh, when I've got the caliber of him round here, you know, Kill's got better conversation.
Don't you get started on me.
Amaris. Upon this squabbling scene, you see your handler splayed out on the staircase. Just,
oh yeah, I should help him.
Like veritably worn out. And as you sort of make your way up, he's not unconscious, but hoo boy, you get that he's had a bit of a time in the past 20 minutes. I'd like you to make a stealth check.
That is 25.
I'm assuming nobody's passive perception is that high. So
I see nothing.
yeah, so as you sort of make your way,
She goes straight for him, probably.
you note, and as you sort of make your way, his eyes are sort of lulling, and then looks to you. They snap awake.
Sir, what's going on? I saw it. How many were there? Were the guard harmed?
Well,
you look terrible, by the way.
okay. First of all, rude. Second of all, 187 confirmed events. And
that's bad.
And yes, severely. And nobody that couldn't make a full recovery, but the magnitude. Wait a minute. No. You have to go back to. This is. I can't. This is not. I can't authorize this.
Sir.
I know what you're going to say. I understand. I perfectly and fully know that you are capable. But this.
I'm fine. I've got this. I can do it. You need my help. You know I can do this.
Make a persuasion check.
I'm not great at that. Yeah, that's a 7. Great job.
If he were not so tired, he'd argue. Barathis kind of like...
You need the help.
There's a sense of compassion that sort of reaches out. Look. Okay, knowing the higher-ups is... I know them. It's probably gonna be all hands on deck anyway. And there's no way I'm gonna stop you. I've had enough of a night.
I won't let you down, sir. I've got this. Don't throw up. And she steps back.
You can go. They're meeting in the high chamber, most likely. I'll be there in a moment.
Do you need help?
A hand waves in sort of assurance.
Okay.
At which point, Winry, you note Barathis' presence as he flops onto his belly and kind of like waves off. Amaris,
okay.
I'm assuming, already made her way out.
Oh yes, she's focused. She's ignoring all of the people. Just, this is my job. This is my chance.
Yeah. Winry?
Yeah, so as I see Barathis flopping around like a fish out of water, I say, don't break him, Kaldor. Just don't let him touch you too much. You look fragile, she says to Verinar, and she stomps over to Barathis. Looks like a building hit you on the head, sir, if you don't mind me saying.
No,
Yeah, very coherent. Like, you just keep doing what you're doing. I'm just gonna... I mention a little prayer to Erathis along the lines of, if you're not too busy breaking the sky, I could use some help here, because there's a lot of squishiness. And I forgot to describe my magic before. It comes out of the palms of my hands. It sort of licks out as a glow. And then just for the barest moment, there's the impression of flames that sink into the skin.
a sort of warming sensation pervades his tired form.
So he takes 6 and some.
To take 6 and some what? Is this a cure
6
wounds?
and some cure wounds. Yeah, that was a cure wounds, sorry.
Okay, thank
that
God.
was a cure wounds of 6 and some.
Firebolt. Aha. Nobody expects it. But
I'm on the side of the demons!
No.
No.
As this sinks into his flesh, there's like a calming, like, exhalation, and as he kind of sits up, it's been a while. 85 years takes a bit of time to readjust to.
85 years where? I sort of help him sit up and support him and stuff.
He blinks a couple of times. I'm 107. Never mind. Not important. Just Brathis kind of just makes his way up the stairs and beckons for each of you to follow.
Did Bella go? Bella went with Hamish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up the stairs. Oh yeah, like in like the middle of this, after she kind of like makes the fragile comment and starts talking to them, I kind of just like awkwardly, kind of like hands kind of held together like this, just walk backwards and then go up the stairs without anybody really noticing.
All right. So,
Calder takes a moment as Verina sort of walks away, and just sort of takes a cursory look around. What I'm looking for specifically is I want to see if there's any physical sign of a creature or entity that might account for the cataclysm that hit my father. Just the idea of like, footprints or claw marks, anything in the nearby vicinity.
Investigation.
Oh, that's good. Then I've trained. So 22.
That's the thing. With Calamity, it can be directed, obviously, by certain nefarious individuals, but it doesn't really leave a trace. Not unless you fight against it. And the problem with architecture and items and non-organic things, they don't exactly fight against it. Unless, and the thought actually snaps to your mind, given that the Anvil Guard does actually have a contingent known as Arathis' Chosen that guard an entrance to the pocket dimension of Arathis, where the World Anvil is housed. Like, as you're thinking this, a light bulb veritably appears above your head. You need to look at those runes as soon as possible, because there might be something to it.
I will rush off.
Where are you going, you stupid bugger?
I'm still like processing all of that. I barely hear Winry crying out, because obviously if fiends are in any way, shape or form responsible for this kind of calamity, it could be imminent that it happens again. So I'm hastily moving.
As you are hastily moving, you actually note through some of the chambers and sort of side passages that lead to the Chamber of the Chosen. A couple of them clamor out. They are absolutely wrecked. You thought Barathas was sort of in poor shape. The same bruising patterns are actually seen across the face and like chest areas of each of these guards. And the only one who sort of stands among them in sort of a semi-coherent form is, is a dragonborn by the name of Rexalius.
Rexalius, are you okay? You've all been gravely injured.
Fine, boy. Fine. Most of us are. At least felt like that for a moment.
We have to get medical treatment for you and for everyone.
No.
There isn't much time.
No. We go to the high chamber. Speak with the commanders of each. We coordinate. Civilization demands coordination. Demands protocol. You learn nothing in your time here.
My time with you was spent well. I understand the value of duty, but at least allow me to help you to the chambers.
Spent well and briefly now. 10 of the others are more worse off than I. You hear him snarl and sort of crack his collarbone into place, which had been dislocated. And as he marches forward, heavy footfalls accompanying his stride.
Knowing that likely clerics such as Winry were going to make their way to the main chamber, I will gather as many of the chosen ones as I can and assist them to the chamber as well.
All right. Leora, you have been in the chamber for a little while. It's a little unclear exactly what's going on. There's a lot of chatter, a lot of crosstalk that just muddies the issue. Kesret kind of clutches at his knee, trying to figure out what exactly to say if he is called upon. But the chamber stills as Rexalius, Belladonna, and Hamish enter into this chamber. All are venerated, and immediately, as commander of the Forge, Hamish is given special attention as a few healers flock to his side, as well as commander of the Chosen, Rexalius is similarly provided for. Amaris, you have suffused yourself amidst the crowd. Verinar, Kaldor, and Winry, again, approximately at the same time. All of you are gathered. And the speaker for Arathis, entity by the name of the Orator, who themselves is sort of a mirror to Arathis's general form, being very ill-defined and ever-changing, as civilization is, approaches to speak. A breath is taken, and a speech is to be given when next we meet.
Exciting!
All right, everybody. I told you that it'd be a fun one. Even with
What
the
a
tech
start.
gremlins. Yes. We have had a marvelous time here. And I cannot thank you all enough for watching and participating. We are going to go ahead and close the giveaway for for the Die Hard Dice $50. Hashtag Tyros if you want to get yourself $50 worth of Die Hard Dice just for free, because we're nice. And Die Hard Dice is even nicer. But I have been Jason, your DM. I have been so happy to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful premiere. Man, this is going to be fun. I'm so sorry that we were unable, due to technical issues, to get to our first world, but as intoned by the giveaway code, we will be exploring the world of Tyros, Tairos, written by the Chosen One, and just an eminently wonderful creator that I've been able to correspond with so happily. We will be having, to explain the premise of the show now that you're watching, we'll be having about 4 to 5 sessions within each world featured on World Anvil, chosen from a list that I have selected and coordinated with several creators on, for the pleasure of this group to explore and for you, the audience, to engage in. Yes, because we will be implementing a few things for stream, a few more things, basically tempting the tech goblins to screw with us even more. Otherwise, what's the fun? But no, as a beginning session, this was a blast. I am so happy that that we were able to finally get this premiered and finally get this together. Again, at Just Jason, please, on Twitter. My name has been Jason. I got a whole bunch of stuff to promote, but I'll instead elect to pass it on to our lovely cast, starting with let's go in a different order. Caldor, Michael.
Yes.
Where can we find you? How do you think it's going? And
you can find me at everything that entitles the Dead Aussie Gamer. You can find me on YouTube, where I've got a whole bunch of video tutorials, things like that. And if you want to see me do my live play, then come check me out on Twitch at the same handle, Dead Aussie Gamer. You can basically just watch my own particular style. I have been known to be quite insane and run about 15 games in real life per week. So I have learned a thing or two, and I love sharing my knowledge with you fine people on the interwebs. So come check me out.
Beautiful. Since we're going with an unconventional order, let's go with Eric Verinar. Very glad to meet you. Very glad to have you. Who are you? What you doing? How you doing? Etc.
Just all sorts of acting goodies, tidbits, projects across the internet, all that sort of thing. I'm Eric Peterson VO on Twitter. See me tweeting about various upcoming projects and things.
We'll be going soon.
Very excited to be here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, we'll do. Well, apparently no. Zoom then decided to be very strange on me. I don't exactly know why. Hurry, Lynn, before something else happens, please, for the love of God, just tell us where can we find you? Who are you? What's going on?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lynn. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, just about anywhere at Lynn_M_Meyer. I stream. I'm a writer on DM's Guild. I post most of my updates on Twitter. That's the main place to follow me if you want updates on the things that I do. This big blue furry guy is Izzy. He will probably show up a lot because he gets jealous of the computer. So if you like cats, this is your boy. So.
Oh, well, happy to have the both of you on board, because this is just a wonderful time. I got Autumn, please hurry before the cat drags us all down a rabbit hole. Wait, that's not how that works. Who are you? How you doing? Yeah. Who are you? How you doing? And where can we find you?
My name is Autumn Blaze, also known as Lasalanta Nariel. I'm doing quite well. I had a lot of fun today, and you can find my artwork and my writing and all of the cool stuff I'm in at my Twitter, where I'm at Lasalanta Blaze, and that's about it. I hope you like cats, because there's a lot of, if you don't like cats, art, or D&D, probably you don't want to follow me. But if you like those things, Follow my Twitter.
Or if you just want to follow awesome people, go follow. Yeah, so that's that. And we must now roll out the red carpet for the representative of World Anvil, who so graciously sponsored this stream and who's helped us, again, herd all the cats. Man, there's just a lot of cats in this outro.
So
Janet.
many cats.
Who are you? Where can we find you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I had such fun in this first episode. I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm going to spend the week refining my accent because I went through several counties of the UK before I decided where I really wanted to come from. But that's fine. That's what episode 1 is for. So I am Janet from World Anvil. I also am an opera singer. I do world building videos. You can find me youtube.com/World Anvil. You can find me on Twitter at JD_. Let's try that again. JD_Blythe, where I tweet about D&D because I also play for Wizards of the Coast on Saturday nights, start at the same time this starts. I tweet about, I've got a book coming out in November, which is very exciting. Lots of bits and pieces, lots of writing. I do interviews with amazing people as well, so all of that goes up there. Lots of people who are much more interesting than I am, who I then interview and get interesting information for all you gorgeous peoples. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, come follow me, or just come say hello, because I'm incredibly friendly. Possibly too friendly. I might be too friendly.
Possibly. Maybe. Who knows? But as always, this has been a Nerdsmith production. If you want to find out how you can support Nerdsmith, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube. Or go on over, if you have a mind to, go on over to nerdsmith.org/support to figure out what we can do and how we can do it. Continue to bring this glorious, glorious content to you. Or, you know, if you got Amazon Prime subscription burning a hole in your pocket, hey, you can subscribe to us on Twitch. Like, that's a thing that I hear you can do, if you so desire. You know. You can also subscribe to us on Twitch, just generally. And yeah, no. Outside of that, again, thank you to our wonderful sponsors, Die Hard Dice, for being the fine purveyor of polyhedrals that just blow my socks off every single time that I see them on Twitter. Just the new designs that they come up with, it's beautiful. And also to World Anvil, the premier award-winning world-building service for any and all creatives. As it stands, however, Shattered Forge, the premier, through fire and flame, has emerged complete. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for watching, for participating, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.